Hello everyone, this is Jasdeep here from TransportSimple, the home of advanced fleet management and visibility solution. I'm excited to start our Fleet Talks series here with Shams, my close friend and one of the phenomenal person we know who has been into the Middle East for a very long time, and he is having his own company, Truckoom, which is into fleet management as well, and along with it, a huge network into the GPS services. So thank you, Shams, for joining us.
Thank you, Jasdeep, for having me here. It's a pleasure to speak with you and to speak to the audience, whoever is watching and listening.
So the first thing which I would like to just, if you can give you a brief about you yourself and Trakum, what do you do guys do?
Well, you've already given the introduction. So my name is Shams, and I'm the founder of Truck. Truckoom itself is a tech startup. We started working on this idea back in 2020. We are a tech startup that focus specifically on mid-mile transportation industry. The idea is very simple that you have the first mile, which is pretty much resolved. There are big global players who are working on different solutions, and they've got it covered. And then you have the last mile, which is to an extent you have great solutions, great technology, and it's pretty much sorted. The mid mile is the challenging area, and it's the area that requires a lot of improvement overall. We are operating in the mid mile transportation industry, and at Tracom, one of our key aspects is that we are focusing on bottom to top approach rather than top to bottom.
Great to know in detail about what Trakum do. If you take a step back and understand the time when you started, the time when you got into the commercial vehicle industry, when the idea came that okay, let's do something in this industry. From then to now, what are the things which have changed in the industry?
Before we got into this industry, as a Pathan, I'm a Pathan and I grew up with people around me and my family and relatives very much into transportation. So even before entering this industry, before we started Tracom in this specific industry, I have seen this industry evolve. At first, obviously, when you're not directly working in the industry, you don't pay a lot of attention, but then it has evolved. One of the things that I've observed personally is that if you compare it to the past days, companies now are getting more and more organized. Initially, it was that only the big companies were looking to get that organization done. But now with all the digital age, a lot of the smaller companies, they're also open to digitization. They feel the need, or they have this want to have their operations, their processes digitized so that they could service their customers better. And we have had inquiries from customer where sometimes they're forced to do so by their own customers. There are still some companies who just want to operate on pen and paper mode, writing it, noting and jotting everything down in Excel or some journals. But then the customers, because customers' needs are ever changing as well. Sometimes a customer sees a solution. We're in Dubai, right? And you every year you go to Jitex and you see 100 different technologies, and then the customers then start asking the transportation company, no, I need this, I need that. So even the needs for the customer, they're changing. Overall, this has resulted in this big shift towards the need for digitization, while previously the bigger companies, they were open to it and exploring it. Now even the smaller companies, they're open to the idea of having more digital data in this age.
That's completely true. I 100% believe to what you are saying. You have been majorly involved with them with the angle of fleet visibility GPS services which you are offering. And towards my experience also, what we have also seen from the time we started, not just in UAE, even in Qatar and other places where we are offering, this has been the major change.
One thing I think why is it happening now, especially, is because a lot of the transportation company, they're family-owned businesses, and now a lot of these companies, the new generation is taking care of the businesses, and they're too involved into the tech, IT, and all, and they want this digitization to happen.
So my family business was into trucking, and that's from where we saw this problem. And then we started into building a fleet management solution because back then there was no such solution. So what you're saying is 100% true, and I have one vote for what you just mentioned, and that is happening. This is something which is great for the industry. Now drawing ourselves to another big thing. So obviously with technological advancement, with new things happening, there are certain changes and challenges also come into picture. right? So what is the one of the major challenge which you feel the commercial vehicle industry is going through right now in this phase of the journey?
There are more than one. I think one of the biggest problem that I see, as I said, we work in, we had a load board department. One of the biggest issue is fragmentation. The logistic industry, especially in this region, because I would talk about the MENA region or specifically GCC and UAE, there is huge fragmentation. The data and the way the people, the transport owners or the fleet owners, they're working, they don't speak to one another. So there is a fragmentation in the way the supply is required by the companies. And another issue is that is it's overly saturated. So while it is, I think if you have anything, I think it's a huge problem. If you have fragmentation and you have oversaturation, it's a huge problem. And what I believe, when this happens, when you have these two things in any industry, the switching cost for the customer goes to very negligible amount. And when this happens, what is the next thing is credit is introduced in the industry. This is another issue in the industry. A lack of digitization is a huge issue. As a thing to make sure it doesn't happen again in the future, people like us, companies like us, we have to speak to one another often. Because if we introduce and keep on introducing digitization into the industry, and we do not speak to one another on the standards of data communication, then in few years, let's say in 5-10 years, when the industry is digitized, we would still have a fragmentation problem, because we have different data centers, data points, and they're not speaking to one another. So you're just taking, something pen and paper industry, which was fragmented, to a digitized fragmented industry. So I see this as a future challenge in the industry.
It's not just a future challenge for the commercial vehicle industry owner. This is also going to be a challenge for the IT companies or tech companies, anyone who are providing solutions to them, because the world is moving very fast, and even in the tech move is world is moving much faster. So if everyone is trying to do entire thing in their single platform, it will take a huge amount of time, and there are other people who would have moved faster, done different things, and that's where companies like you rightly said, companies like Truckoom and TransportSimple and others out have to join hands and work together. Where there are some things which TransportSimple can provide, there's some things which Truckoom can provide, and that's what we do. So that's what we vision to do. That okay, people should come together, and it's not you're not competing with each other. You're solving problem for the customer. So if
Yeah.
companies work together, then the problem gets solved and everyone have their own value being created. I think this is something you are the best person to answer this. This is this area where I don't have the deepest of expertise. Like the government right now, UAE government is moving from this 2G GPS to I think 5G GPS, right? So that is the major move which is happening not just in Dubai, all the seven Emirates, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and all that. They have a very hard deadline that the entire country has to move to 5G based GPS. Okay. First thing, what was the reason behind this move? And second, what value will be created because of this move happening? What's your thought on that?
I think the reason behind this move is pretty given. UAE has the potential and the energy and the people to lead this thing. And I think UAE as a nation overall, they have been pioneers in introducing new technologies, especially in this region. So it was pretty much writing on the walls. Anytime there's some new technology comes, the people at UAE, they make sure they work hard to so that it is introduced. Two things which could be affected, or it could open up new domains, is one is but then video telematics, of course powered with AI, potentially in the future could play a huge role in the insurance premium. How, like for example, you're a driver, right? If I have an idea based on video evidence how good or bad of a driver you are, then I can say, okay, the vehicle premium for you will be this much, right? So, and again, 5G, because we're talking about video streaming, so it could play a huge role in that. Apart from that, I think the one of the other thing it would, bring a change in the industry is when the 2G is rolled out. So 2G is going to be rolled out, of course, to have to leave room for new technologies in the area. I think that's how telecommunication work. Whenever there is a new technology coming out, the obsolete technology has to be rolled out, rolled down. So I think that will cause a lot of issues, and of course, that will also bring a lot of opportunities for many companies, because we have a lot of devices. Not us, but I know in the region there are a lot of devices which are still 2G powered, and we're not just talking about some GPS trackers. There are a lot of other IoT devices which are 2G powered, and somehow linked to transportation industry. So to answer your question, overall, I don't see immediate effect of 5G apart from the few that I mentioned. But the roll down of 2G network is gonna create some issues.
The roll down of 2G definitely create because there will be a huge demand coming up all of a sudden, and like people will not be able to use their GPS. The market will have to go for a shift. The investments will be higher for them. So that definitely will create a big impact. So that is one of the major impact which is going to happen. So apart from it, what do you feel is the next big change do you feel is going to come to the commercial vehicle industry anytime soon?
Again, there are some immediate changes that we're seeing, and then there are long term. Of course, video telematics, I see it has the potential to, as soon as once it is introduced in a proper way into any in this region, I think it would be a game changer. Um, Especially in the heavy industry. EVs, but I don't see EVs to be coming and replacing the traditional ICE engines very soon, because there is a lack of infrastructure. So like same case with 2G and 5G, the infrastructure needs to be updated before we can have EVs on the roads properly. So I don't see it as a short term thing happening like instantly, but there are a lot of companies who are going in that direction. So it's not that it's never going to happen, it is happening. So that's a very welcome change, especially with the how if I speak in terms of UAE, they have set targets for how to control the pollution and everything. So they're pretty much focusing on that. So with UAE, honestly, nothing is impossible. So I would
That's
say
correct.
personally, not appearing very soon, but then UAE can prove you wrong. That's how they do.
So thank you, Shams. It was great talking to you, and it was a lot of learning for me, for others who will be watching this podcast. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to have an official MOU signed as soon as possible and get started with serving our clients, serving both of our clients together. So thank you for giving your time, Shams.
Yeah, thank you, Jasdeep, for having me here. It was fun, and I really hope we can maybe do this more often. Maybe touch down on different topics and aspects. More than welcome to come and jump into the call whenever you want me. Or we should do it sometime when you come and visit the country.
Yes, definitely. Next time it's gonna be offline, both of us sitting together discussing on this topic.